In this lesson, we will just go deeper inside the routing in Node.js. Routing is a key aspect of any web application, and it's define how the application responds to a client request at a specific endpoint, using some kind of combination of path and HTTP requests, as we have here: get, post, put, or delete. There are more, as you can see. There's patch, but we will focus on 4 main routes in Node.js, which also called CRUD operations, so create, read, update, and delete. And there is some kind of main difference between all of them. First of all, post. Post create a new resource by submitting data to the server, which means whenever you log in, for example, you submit your username and password. And whenever you click send or login, there is a post method sending to the server. So it sends the data you provide inside, for example, some forms. The second thing is app.get, which retrieve a specific resource or a collection of resources from the server. It means none less, none more than whatever we would like to send as a request, it will be getting from the get routes. It's the main route that we are using to view something inside our web browser, for example. The next thing is put as update, and it's updating an existing resource by sending modified data to the server. More or less, you've got the post whenever you create an account, but you would like to change something. For example, your username, because you're sick of it and you would like to make some changes. And that's why we've got put, and with put, we update the existing resource by sending modified data to the server. Of course, we can use post to do that. Of course, there are a lot of ways that we can do that. But whenever we are creating, for example, some routes to handle all of them, and the main difference from the server and for us, whenever we would like to connect from, for example, with frontend, the put will be for everyone known as an updating route, which we would like to create. And the last one, delete, up.delete, which removes a specific resource from the server. It's self-explanatory, and we delete everything by up.delete. And going on with our Node Express application, and right there, I will show you and demonstrate how we will be using our post, delete, get, and put to handle and to achieve what we would like to achieve. First of all, first thing first, as I said, we need to make some changes inside our application. First change that we will just do, it will be to create something called middleware. Middleware, which is implemented inside the Express, and I will show you first of all how we just use it. App, so we just go to our Express, use, and over here we get our middleware, which is Express.js, which will help us to handle our post JSON file that we will send to data. And how middlewares just work, to be more specific, for example, you can imagine that everywhere you can just get something like that inside your application. So before the response or request will be served over here, it will go through our middleware. So that's the program that is between the route and what our application should do and achieve with our minds. Okay, that's the brief introduction to that middleware, because in the next lesson, we'll just go dive deeper to that middleware and I will show you how you can create your own middleware without any hesitation and problems. And right now, first of all, we would like to create some kind of resource, which will be an object, for example, with ID and some kind of content. So let resources, it means that we will just got an array with objects, ID 1, and our content will be content of 1. Remember to create more. For example, we'll have 2 and 3, because right now we are not working with any database. We'll just create some kind of content like that. And to get everything what we would like to have, we just change our res.sass to resources, and with that we get to our postman, and with our postman we send, we have to reload our application because we make some kind of changes. So Control-C or Command-C and node index.js, going back and sending. As you can see, we've got our object over here. And what we can do with that object, what changes, because everyone knows that we can send string, we can send whatever we would like to have in that get. But also, I will show you why we using, for example, post and put in the same structure. So right there, we'll also call the path the main, and we will need request and response. But remember, we are using post instead of get, which we've got over here. And to send something to our application, we need, for example, const new resource. It will be ID. We'll just go to ID for example, length +1, because we don't have to care that much about that right now. And our content will be request. So we will just get the request from our client, go to the body of that request, and we'll just pass something like content. I will also show you what is console log and request.body and what we have inside our body element over here. The next thing, whenever we've got that request.body, so what we provide inside our postman in our case, we need to get the resources that push, and we'll push the new resource. And of course, we can get some status, because with response we can have some status. So everything's okay, and we need to send new resource as we just create over here. We need to rerun our application, so called Control-C and then node index.js, go back to our postman, and over here the magic of postman will start working. Because what we need to do, we need to get. We need to post, not get. And here we've got some kind of labels that we can go through. Right now we will need to go to body, and here we would like to send the body to our server. As you know, we are getting to request that body, and we would like to send it as raw and JSON file. The only thing that we'll need to have provide is the content, because we call it as a content, and that will be assigned to our table. And over here, we'll, for example, make content of some other number, because we don't have to remember to the number that the current ID is inside our application. Remember, we are still at our local host 3000, the same that we just got inside our get request. So send, and as you can see, we've got ID 4, content of some other number, change to get, send, and as you can see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Because whenever we would like to rerun our application, we will rerun our application. That will be deleted because we are not working with databases, but only with variables like you have over there. Okay. Also, what we can do, we can get the specific ID of the element that we are currently interested. So update get, and there is another thing that we will be using with our gets. So slash, and over there we will call ID. And the ID is the ID over here. That's the common convention that we are using ID, but you can use, for example, something another way, but I encourage you to stick with the ID. Request, response, and over there we will just get the const resource, and there we will just map and get find through the array the resource that we would like to show to our users. So resources and find, which is a method that we are using on arrays. And from resource, we'll check if resource.id equals, and we need to parse int, but the magic of things that we'll need to have is request.params.id. And what's the difference between body and params? I will show you also over here. So console.log request.params.id, what will have console log. As you can see, the body of our post element that we just got previously is over here. So it's our content that we provided. But it will be more usable when you would like to, and you will see what we've got inside our console, for example, log.params as well. Because as much as you can see, you can remember. And then we can check if there is no resource. So there is no ID with a specific number that we provide. We will return some kind of response, for example, status 404, and send resource not found. And if everything's okay, rest.send. Or we'll just provide the JSON, because we not only have to provide send, but whenever we're working with JSON, we can just send the JSON. And we'll just provide resource as the opposite of the rest.send. Okay, we'll recreate our application, go back, and right there, we'll get the content 1 and send. As you can see, we've got as a response only the first element. Going back to our application. As you remember, we've got get, we've got post, and also we've got something called put. And put is for changing data. And still, we will just stick to the main route, but we will need to have the specific ID that we would like to change. So that put, and we need to get the specific ID as we've got from request.params. As you can see, the ID as the params that we have previously, because I forgot to mention it for you. ID is 1, and that's why we just go to request.id, which will be 1, parse ID, because we would like to have the 100% sure it is not a string, it's a number in our case. So it's like to be 100% sure. And right there, whenever we are inside our put request, which means I will remember you updates, we'll just get request and response. And over there, of course, we can copy that line, because we need to find if there is something to change. And if there is no resource, we can just copy also that line. So if there is not resource, return status 404. And if it is, we will change something. So we'll just go to resource, and from the content, we will change the body content for our content. And of course, we'll just provide our new resource that will change. So going back, node index.js, go here, we'll need to put our body still remains the same, so we don't touch anything over here. We send it, and as you can see, ID still the same, and the content of some other number is changed because we've got content of 1 or something like that in our application. We've got content of 1, 2, or 3. And going on, we've got our put. So whenever we would like to update something, and the last one, and the very important, is up.delete. Up.delete stick with the same route as our get the specific element, put, updating, and the last one is the same as previous one. So request that and response, and over there we are working with our delete. And of course, the things that we can copy over there is const resource, because first of all we need to find out if there is that resource that we would like to have. If there is not, we return the error, and if it is, we need to delete it. And to do that, we call resources, and we reassign it using the method also that we are using in our arrays. So resources dot filter, and over there we need to check if resource dot id, does not equal the parse int of our request dot params dot id. And with that, as you know, filter will just create a table with the things that will pass our argument over here. So if something does not equal, that will be added to our resources, which we are created over there. And the last one that we deleted, we've got our new resources, for example, or resource that we just deleted. We can save it, rerun our application, going back to our Postman, we can delete that, get, and as you can see, we've got 3 elements. We'll delete the first one, so change the get to delete, send, as you can see, delete of content 1, get that one from here, get to choose as a route, and send. As you can see, we've got only 2 and 3. We deleted the first one. So that will be all for that lesson. We've covered how to handle get, post, put, and delete requests for a list of resources, which will give you some kind of solid foundation that will build our own CRUD-based application. So see you at the next lesson, where we'll just go through the middlewares in Node.js.